Welcome back. If you are building AI applications for the enterprise right now, you are probably relying heavily on Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG. It has been the standard way to stop language models from hallucinating by feeding them your company's data. But standard RAG is starting to fail us, and it is failing us because it relies entirely on a flat, vector-based approach. Today, we're talking about why vector RAG breaks down on complex questions and why the industry is shifting toward GraphRAG to fix it. Let's start with how standard RAG works. You take your documents, chop them up into chunks, and turn those chunks into vectors, basically storing the meaning of the text as geometry. When a user asks a question, the system finds the text chunks that are semantically most similar to the question. If a user asks a simple single-hop factual question, standard RAG works perfectly. It is fast, relatively cheap to set up, and scales well across massive amounts of unstructured text. But enterprise data isn't simple. It is highly interconnected. This is where standard RAG breaks down. Because it chunks text, it breaks the logical flow of information. It doesn't actually understand how things connect. For example, if you ask, what are the top 3 recurring themes in this entire dataset, standard RAG will likely fail. It will just search for the word themes and return random chunks. It cannot zoom out and look at the whole picture. This is the exact problem GraphRAG solves. GraphRAG introduces a knowledge graph as the retrieval source. A knowledge graph is made of nodes, which are entities like people, products, or services, and edges, which explicitly define the relationships between those entities, like who works for whom or what causes what. So, instead of just searching for similar words, GraphRAG can actually traverse these relationships. If you ask which suppliers impact delivery delays, GraphRAG doesn't just look for documents with those words. It traces paths through a supply chain graph, finding linked entities like shipments and bottlenecks, even if they were never mentioned in the same document. It allows for multi-hop reasoning. It also provides high transparency. Standard RAG is often a black box of vector similarity. With GraphRAG, the retrieved subgraph clearly shows the exact relationship path used to get the answer, which is crucial for auditing and building user trust. But here's the catch. GraphRAG is not a magic bullet. Building a knowledge graph requires defining a structure or schema. You can't just dump unstructured text into it and expect it to work perfectly. It requires upfront curation and ongoing maintenance as relationships change. It also has a tendency to over-retrieve irrelevant content due to its entity-based structure. In fact, in a recent 2025 study comparing the two on textbook questions, standard RAG actually achieved higher retrieval accuracy. So, which one should you use? They're not rivals, they're tools for different jobs. Use standard RAG for simple questions over large, unstructured documents. Move to GraphRAG when your domain relies on structured data, when relationships matter, and when you need your AI to actually reason across those connections. Often, the most effective systems use a hybrid approach, combining vector search for initial retrieval with graph reasoning to explore the connections. That's the difference between giving your AI access to data and giving it true context. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more breakdowns on the tech shaping 2026. See you in the next one.